Hey there, welcome to Write Bites. So, if you haven't participated in one of our live sessions before, Write Bites is a weekly show that we do on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. And what we do, we talk about everything writing, from books to articles to also we talk about creating visibility and how can we get your stories out into the world, and how can we help you to tell your story and share your expertise in the world. So over the course of the next several months, we're going to be talking about everything book writing, everything visibility, everything content creation. And so, if you have a topic that you would like us to cover, please reach out to us. You'll see at the bottom of the screen, there is a site there, execurite.com/ask the author. You can use that page to submit a question, to submit a topic, so something you want us to talk about, and we will be sure. If you have a question, I'm happy to answer your question immediately, but we're always looking for great topics to talk about. So if you have anything about books or publishing or writing or sharing your story or anything in that world, we would love to hear from you and hear your topics. So let's jump into our topic for today. So, today, what we're going to be talking about is finding your perfect niche. So, I work a lot with nonfiction writers, a little bit with fiction, but mostly nonfiction. And so, typically, what nonfiction writers are doing is they're either sharing their story through like memoir type writing, or they're sharing their area of expertise, and or they're sharing a skill that they have or something that they have learned over the course of their life or their career. I run into a lot of people that are sharing information because they're wanting to grow in their job, or they're wanting to grow their company, or they're wanting to share something to improve the world. So I work with some folks that are, in nonprofits, and they're doing something to help the community or help the greater good. So typically with nonfiction writing, you find that those types of writers have some type of niche or some expertise that they're sharing. It can be kind of a broad expertise, or it can be um, a very specialized expertise. And so it's important to kind of understand what you want your niche to be in order to help you move in the right direction with your writing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some techniques that you can use to help kind of narrow down your niche or narrow down the topics that you want to write about. We'll give you some kind of tools and tips and tricks to help you do that. We'll also talk about kind of the categories that you can look at. So when you get into specifically into book writing, one of the things that you'll want to start thinking about is what category does your book fit into. Also, helping you think through, how do you choose a niche that is marketable or viable or interesting to your readers, so that as you're creating your content, you're creating something that people really want to read about. So we'll talk about all of those things. So first, let's talk about kind of understanding how you start to choose your niche or your expertise. So there's really kind of two factors that I like to think about when I'm doing this. One is your passion, and the other is your expertise. And the reason we look at both of those is we all have expertise. We all have skills. We all have things that we have learned throughout our life and throughout our careers and throughout our jobs. and the different things we've done within our communities. So we all have expertise. We all have interesting information that we can share. What the passion brings in is writing is something, it's a creative process, and it is much easier to pursue when you have a passion around it, when you are enjoying what you're writing about. So the reason we talk about our passions is we want you to have fun. We want you to enjoy this journey. And if you're writing about something that you really have a passion about, then it it increases that joy, it increases that the fun part of doing this. So I really want you to think about both aspects. So not just sharing, the things that you're good at, but sharing the things that you really enjoy. So the first thing I'm going to show you is, and I'm going to pop us over to another screen so I can kind of show you my screen here. I want to share with you kind of a technique that I use when I'm trying to kind of narrow down um, my topics, or the things I want to write about. So let me real quickly share this screen with you. So this is you have probably seen this type of chart, this type of tool used in the past. I'm using just a real quick little whiteboarding tool here called Miro. You can use all kinds of different, any whiteboarding tool you can use, or you can use just a pen and paper to do this. So first you want to do is you want to create this grid. One, the line going up and down is your expertise. The line going side to side is your passion. So you notice we have 4 quadrants here. So you want to think about different topics that you have to write about, and kind of start thinking about how you would map them into this quadrant. So for me, just to kind of give you an example, for me, a couple of things that I really enjoy. So just for an example, one of the things I really enjoy is art. So let's put art there. So for me, art, I have a very high passion for it. I love art. I love everything art. I love experiencing art. I love doing art. I paint. I draw. Um, However, my expertise, I would say, would be a little on the lower side, because I've never had a lot of formal training in art. So I know what I know about art, and I've learned what I've learned, but I've never taken like art history, or I've never done like a lot of real formal training. So I would say my passion for art is very high. So I'm going to put it way over at the right side of the quadrant, but I'm actually going to drop it down kind of low from an expertise perspective, because I don't have a lot of expertise in it. So I would kind of I would put my art there. Another topic that I might want to write about is, let's say, project management. So those of you who know me well know that I have spent a lot of years doing project management. It is something that I have a very high expertise in. I have been certified in project management. I have run many, many, many projects over the years, have a very high level of expertise in that area. However, right now, my passion for project management from a writing perspective, I would say, is probably on the low side. Probably not something I want to do a lot of writing about right now at this moment in time. A couple of years down the road, you never know. But right now, my passion for project management is probably on the low side. although my expertise I would consider to be very high. So I'm going to put it up high in the expertise quadrant, but kind of low in the passion quadrant. Another topic that I like, might think about writing about, and this probably won't surprise you, is book publishing. So, over the last few years, I have learned a lot about book publishing. So, I would say my expertise in book publishing is pretty high. I know there's a lot more I can learn, but yeah, I've really learned a lot over the last few years, and so my expertise is pretty high. My passion right now for book publishing is also pretty high. So I'm going to put that one in this top right quadrant because I have both a passion and an expertise in that right now. So I think that could be something that could be very high in that quadrant. A fourth topic might be leadership. But you know what? And now that I think about it though, I am probably going to make that a little bit more specific. And I'm going to say leadership styles. So this is an area you want to try to be as specific as you can. Now, it doesn't mean you can't include many different topics, but try to get them. So if you come up with something that's like really general, try to break it down into the more specific topics. You know what they say, specific is terrific. So I'm going to say leadership styles, not just the broad category of leadership. I'm going to break it down and say leadership styles. I would say I have a pretty high expertise in that area, and also I'm kind of passionate about that right now too. So that's probably something that's going to be in sort of in the higher quadrant. So, and then just keep going. Just keep thinking about more topics, and like I was saying, break down the broader topics into more specific topics. You can put as many boxes out there as you want. You can have 100 boxes out here if you wanted. So just keep thinking about different topics and map them out. And then focus more on these that end up falling in this upper right-hand quadrant. So these are going to be the topics you have a high expertise in and a high passion for, so that you can make sure that as you're approaching your writing, you are sharing your high level of expertise, but you're also doing it in a way that you really enjoy it and really love it. And it's something that the more passionate you are about a topic, the more easy it is to share the information with people and the more you can help people. So, and that's a big part of it, right? We all want to help people. So, and hi, Anthony. I see your comment out there. So glad you're able to join us today, and hope you get a lot out of the topic. So now that we've kind of showed you how to start to narrow down the topics and your niche, let's talk about the kinds of things that you want to be thinking about. So when you're going through that exercise and you're thinking about those topics, where do you get the ideas? So think about your educational background or your credentials. So where have you spent time learning new things? Where do you have your degree from? Or I'm sorry, not where do you have it from, but what is your degree in? Where do you have certifications? Where have you spent time learning new things? Think about your life experiences. Do you have personal experiences or personal challenges that you've overcome? Maybe you had some experience with health and fitness in your personal experience. Maybe it's not part of your job, but it's something that you have some personal experience with. Maybe you have some experience with growing a community. Maybe you have some experience with your family, or maybe you've had some family challenges that you, because of these challenges, you now have a high level of expertise that you'd like to share. Think about your professional background. What are the experiences you've had in your work and your, you know, as you've come up through your career? What are the things that maybe you have just learned along the way, things that you have taught yourself? Maybe you've got a technical expertise that it's not something that you necessarily apply with your job, but it's something that you've taught yourself, and it's something that you know really well, and that may be an area that you can explore. So, really kind of spend some time in your head and in your heart and think about what are the things that you have done that you can share. Also think about where your stories are. Where are the interesting stories that you have to tell? Again, it can be overcoming challenges. It can be interesting things that can have happened to you. It can be funny things that have happened to you. I love when people put humor into their writing, even when it's not something that you naturally think about humor. So I love it to read a business article that has a lot of humor in it. I love to read about a personal experience that someone has that has a lot of humor in it. I think humor really helps us to connect with one another, and we can make each other laugh. We really, we can break down those walls and break down those barriers and really share really good, important information. So let's talk a little bit about some of the myths that people believe when they start talking about the their topics, when they start thinking about what information they have to share, and what um their expertise is. So, number one of the big myths out there is that you have to have a high level of education around the topic that you're sharing, or you have to have some higher level degree, like a PhD or a master's degree or an MBA, or or you have to have a lot of education around a topic. That's simply not the case. Your life experience, your work experience is just as important. And in some cases, your real life lived experience can be more important than what you learn in a classroom. So I would say don't get caught up in the education aspect of your experiences or your expertise, because you have experiences that have contributed to what you know and what you learn. Um, so yeah, don't get caught up in degrees or credentials. You probably still have a lot of information you share, even if you don't have letters behind your name. Um, Another myth that I hear a lot is, someone's already written about that, or there's already a lot out there about that, or what do I have to add to the conversation? So, and it might be the case that there are already books written about the topic. More than likely there is. I mean, most stories have been told and we're just retelling, the same stories. What you bring to the table is your unique perspective. You bring to the table your unique experiences, and those experiences help to show people that there are different ways of approaching a challenge, that there are different ways of solving a problem, that we're all unique and we all have a unique perspective to share. So, by sharing your unique perspective, you can actually encourage other people to share theirs. Not every situation is the same. Not every company is run the same way. Not every challenge can be approached the same way. So your unique perspective can bring something new to the experiences of others. And you want to think about just because something has been written about before doesn't mean that it answered all the questions. There's always new things that are coming up. There's always new technologies. There are always new situations that are presenting themselves, and your expertise can help to address all of those different variables that come to play when we start talking about challenges and real world experiences. The last myth that I want to talk about is so many people think that, and this is, you hear it called imposter syndrome. When we tell ourselves that my experience is not enough, my expertise is not special enough, I don't have all the answers, so who's going to listen to me? So it's that we we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we have to offer to the world. And I am here to tell you that we all have special stories. We all have information that we can share. We all have things that we have learned through our lives, and it's almost wrong, I feel, to not share our expertise. Why wouldn't someone want to learn from what we have been able to learn throughout our lives? And think about those who are coming after you. Those that are, and maybe you've been in your career for 20 years. There are those that are coming up in their career and they're just starting out, and they could learn from your 20 years of experiences. And I also tell people, don't just think about sharing um, the good stuff. Don't just share your successes. Share your failures. Failures are where we learn. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be a failure. When we've been challenged, when we have run into things that were harder than we expected them to be. Those were the times when we really learned a lot of lessons, and it is important to share those lessons with others because they they can find value in those lessons. So don't sell yourself short. You have stories, you have expertise, you have skills, you have lots of information that is worth sharing with the world. It's just a matter of finding the best way to do it. So the kind of the last topic we're going to talk about is how do you make sure that you find a niche for yourself that has some market value? Um, so there are a couple of different ways to do that. One of the best ways is, of course, we all know that Amazon is the largest seller of books. And so if you're looking to, if your goal is to write a book, one of the best ways to do some research is to go out to Amazon. So so what you do is you go to kdp.com. That is the publishing site for Amazon. You don't have to create an account. You can go out there and gather information without necessarily having an account with them. So go to kdp.com. There's a button up at the top called Help. So if you click on Help, you can do a search on Help. And if you search on Amazon categories, it will give you, you have to kind of scroll through the page a little bit, but toward the bottom of the page, it will give you categories, book categories for Amazon books. That is a great way, and it'll actually give you examples of books that fall into each category. So for instance, if you wanted to search on business books, you can search the business category and you can search through all of the subcategories that Amazon has for business books. And it'll give you books that fall within those categories and authors that have written books that fall within those categories. So that's a great way to research. You can also go out to a site called Goodreads. So Goodreads is a really interesting site. And if you are an author, if you have a published book, make sure that you have a profile on Goodreads. So you can go out to Goodreads and you can find books on Goodreads and you can write reviews of books out there. So it's another great way to go out and search on books and categories and look at what kind of books are trending, what topics are trending, what topics are landing in, kind of in the bestseller categories. You can also do some Google searches that'll give you some of that information. So do a little bit of research. Once you kind of narrow down your niche, do some research on those topics and find out, because what you might discover is that you might discover that you want to specialize your niche in a certain direction once you do a little bit of research on that topic, on that category, and kind of see where it's landing, kind of in the bestseller categories, what other books are out there on those same topics. And you might even, and once you find some of the books that are out on those same topics, is maybe even read a couple of them and see what other people are writing about. And that can help you narrow it down, because if you start looking at what other people are writing about, you might start to find where some of the gaps are. Where is the missing information that you can then fill in with your expertise and your skills and your knowledge. Also, one of the things that you can do is just reach out to people in your community. You can send out some notes to, if you have some trusted advisors, mentors, um, coaches, you can reach out to those people and start a conversation. This is some of the things I'm thinking about. This is kind of information I want to be sharing. What do you think about this? And just start getting maybe some informal polling around it. Also, you want to think about your reader. So start thinking about, so for instance, if one of your goals is to write a book, think about the reader of your book. And we're going to be talking about in one of our upcoming live sessions, we're going to dig really into detail about the reader and the audience. So stay tuned for that. But really kind of think about, where is your reader? What books are they reading? Where are they getting their information? They getting their information from other publications, from business publications or industry publications or websites or sites like, Huffington Post? Or are they on TikTok, or are they on Instagram, or where? And just really start thinking about where your readers are and what kind of information are they taking in, and that can help you really start to narrow down your niche as well, because you want to create something that is interesting to the readers that you want to target. And then lastly, um really kind of think about longevity. So there is nothing wrong with writing about something that's trending. However, just realize that if you focus your writing on something that is a current trend, that trend might fizzle out. So then your writing could become um, possibly obsolete if the trend is no longer a trend. So you want to just think about your topics as something that might have some meat and might have some longevity to them. So something that um, can be, something that people would be interested in a year from now or 3 years from now or further down the road. Nothing wrong with writing about trends. You just want to realize that it may not last for long. So just something to consider as you're thinking about your niche and really kind of putting some thought into how you want to approach it. So so that's the tips that I have for you today. So do think it's really important to spend some time to really think about what you want, where you want to put your focus, because like I was saying, you want to find something that you're really passionate about. You want to find a way um, to have fun with this and have joy in it. And, the best way to do that is to really put some thought into it and really think about how you want to approach it. So, um, you'll notice in the top corner of my screen, there's a QR code. So if you grab that QR code, that will take you to a page that has a tool that you can download. It's a book strategy tool. Would love to invite you to download that tool. Will help you. It's really more of a conversation starter. It will help you to start thinking about some of the things you might want to start thinking about if you're ready to start taking the step toward writing your book. So it's a number of questions that you can fill the form out. There is also on that page a link to a calendar. If you would like a free strategy session with me to talk about your book or to talk about any kind of content that you want to create. So maybe you're not ready to write a book, but maybe you're thinking about creating an online course, or maybe you're thinking about creating a podcast, or maybe you're thinking about creating a blog or some articles. So any kind of content that you're wanting to create to start sharing your expertise and making you more visible out in the world. I would love to help you create a strategy around that. So on that page, you will find a link to my calendar, and you can grab a few minutes with me, and we can help you to start creating your strategy and talk about what it is you're wanting to accomplish, what your goals are, and where you want to go with it. Happy to spend some time with you to do that. If anything that we talked about today interests you, or anything you want to talk more about, or if you get into your process of trying to brainstorm your niche and you will run into any issues, or you just want someone to chat about with it, you sometimes it helps just to sort of brainstorm with someone else. Feel free to grab that link and schedule some time with me. I am happy to sit down with you and talk through it with you. And sometimes just having another person to talk through it with can help you get some clarity. So thank you so much for joining. I have enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you got a lot out of it. Please feel free to drop me a comment. Please feel free to reach out to me on the Ask the Author link, or grab some time with me using the QR code. Enjoy the process, as always. Enjoy the process, and until next time,